right, welcome back inside our Vancouver Proactive Studios and welcoming in the President and CEO of Precipitate Gold, Jeffrey Wilson. Jeffrey, nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Give us a little bit of background on your company.
So Precipitate Gold is a TSX Venture listed company. We've been exploring in the Dominican Republic now since 2012. We have been focused on early stage exploration, looking at gold and copper in a couple of very distinct belts of that country.
What's the Dominican Republic like for mining?
Dominican Republic is a fantastic jurisdiction. One of the largest gold mines in the world is in the Dominican Republic. Mining represents something like 3 to 5% of the country's GDP.
Really? Wow.
So there's a favorable mining jurisdiction there and a lot of relatively underexplored areas of mineral wealth in the country.
Well, you have big news to talk about, and that is that you've acquired 100% of a mine from another company, or a property from another company. So tell us a little bit about this. First off, what attracted you to this particular property?
Well, first and most obviously, it's located virtually surrounding one of the largest gold mines in the world, and that's operated by Barrick's, and it's a project called Pueblo Viejo. And so the ground immediately adjacent to that, and quite an extensive amount of that ground, we targeted. We were able to do a deal in recent weeks, and it allows us to be positioned not only in a very mining-friendly region of the country, but also there's some really distinct exploration targets there that we think have been underexplored, and we think are going to be the focal point of our next phases of work.
So it's called Pueblo Grande, and the deal itself was a very favorable deal for your company, just $25,000 in cash, but the rest is in stock over 3 years. Why do it that way? What does that allow you to do?
Yeah, it was structured in that manner such that we could preserve the current treasury. We've got a little over $1 million in the account today, and doing a deal of this kind allows us, number one, to be able to apply our treasury towards meaningful work and generating news and exploring the project, and number two, by sort of escrowing or staging out the release of the stock that was issued over a 3-year period, it again allows us to manage the market a little bit so that we're not having to absorb potential selling into the market. So we think it's a very well structured deal for us and our shareholders.
Now, when I asked you earlier about what attracted you to the property, the one thing I noticed that you hit on was the fact that you're going to do things a little bit differently that was done before. Just expand a little bit more on that, of the work that was done previously and what you're planning on doing differently.
Yeah, I mean, we're big believers in that, in the exploration business, a lot of times it's not the first company or the first guy in that makes the big discoveries. And you can learn a lot from prior work. And this project has been worked in the past, but some of our technical team and our board of directors who have geological expertise have looked at this area quite extensively over the years. And we believe that some of the work that was done was really looking at testing or exploring different style targets than those that we'll be exploring this time. So we see the primary target for us is a very distinct sort of magnetic high target that's located virtually just across the concession boundary from the Pueblo Viejo mining pits. Okay. And so this is an area that's really seen very little exploration and really hasn't been sort of tested as a hypothesis. And it's a big area. It's about 3.5 kilometers in circumference, and certainly will be the focal point of our work over the first few months.
Expand a little bit more on when you mentioned your geotechnical team, because you've got a lot of experience in this sector, but you've got a couple of directors that have a tremendous amount of experience, especially in this area.
Yeah, no, and certainly I benefit from that. The company benefits from that. So a couple of our key members, we've got Adrian Fleming, who's our chairman. He was involved with the discovery of the underworld deposit in the Yukon several years ago that got bought out by Kinross. Quinton Henning is on our board. A lot of people will know Quinton from his work with Novo Resources, which is went up to about $1 billion market cap last year on their work in Australia. And Alistair Waddell, who is a key component of this. Alistair was a founder of another exploration company focused in the Dominican Republic, spent a lot of time throughout the island, and coveted this particular piece of ground for quite some time. And so when he brought it to my attention as a possible acquisition, there was some very strong rationale geologically for why we should go after this ground.
Now, the market has really responded to this particular sale. Your stock has done extremely well after this sale. How does what you've done now set up for the future? And what's your vision now for the next couple of years for the company?
Yeah, no, the market response was very good. We were up 120% on the day of the news release. It allows us now a new chapter in a region of the country where there's quite prolific mining operations going on. Several other surrounding mines are now expanding and being permitted. So there's some clarity here in terms of if you find it, can you extract it? Mm-hmm. For us now, with this done, there are several stages of news as we sort of build out the story over the course of the next few months. First and foremost, we've got to close this transaction, so we're working on that now through some of our due diligence and the final legal processes with the Dominican government. Sure. We plan to go through quite an extensive database that we've acquired from the seller. So there'll be a lot of geological information to sort of put together a plan. And the hope is here in the short term is in Q1 of 2019. My hope is that we have this permitted for drilling, and we can commence at some point in the first quarter of next year, commence a first meaningful drill program on the project.
And it's nice to have the money in the bank already.
Absolutely.
And ready to go. Well, great to meet you and learn a little bit more about the company, and we look forward to hearing more success from you. So thanks very much. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
All right, Jeffrey Wilson, the President and CEO of Precipitate Gold.